Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, a special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is July 26th. It is Saturday night. It is 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And with me once again, as you've come to expect all these years, is the one and only Alex Kozora, fresh off his third trip to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe for training camp practice. So with that, happy Saturday. And it is Saturday. I'll keep reminding you of what the day is, Alex. Happy Saturday to you.
Thank you, Dave. Going to need the assistance throughout training camp, the first weekend practice, and it was jam-packed. Never seen a line like that to get into Saint Vincent College before. It was literally miles long, really backed up. So Steelers Nation in full force this year.
All right, you didn't have a jump to the front of the line pass or anything, or
that Disney pass equivalent does not work in Latrobe, unfortunately.
Yeah, too bad they don't have like a fast pass situation where you can upgrade and go to the front of the line there. Speaking of passes, that's a great segue you just had there. It's time to shout out our sponsor of these special edition Terrible Podcasts, and they've been a sponsor of these special edition shows for quite some time now. I am, of course, talking about Touring Plans, and that is run by the great Lynn Testa. You can find Touring Plans on the internet at touringplans.com. You can also find them on Twitter and probably Instagram and any other social media outlet that you follow at Touring Plans. Have not checked any of those other ones, so just double check that. But anything related to Disney, Touring Plans is your guide to planning the best Disney and Universal park trip yet. They'll point you to the least crowded park, customized plans to hit all your favorite attractions. They'll share insider restaurant reviews and offer tips on how to save time and money, and not just anything related to the parks, but Disney cruises as well too. So you're going to be hearing us talk about them in every episode at the top because they are sponsors of the show. They're fine people to work with. They have a fine product. You can get an app from them at the App Store as well too. So take time right now, go to touringplans.com, bookmark the site, and next time you have anything Disney related trip on your agenda, make sure you go to Touring Plans and see what they have to offer, and I'm sure they'll be able to save you time and money. Alex, anything to add?
No, that was great. So check them out. We appreciate their many years long sponsorship of the show. Dave, and just one other note on training camp today, I'm sure you'll note it as well, the Steelers announcing their 2025 Hall of Honor selections. 3 pretty modern era players in Joey Porter Sr., Marquise Pouncey, and Ben Roethlisberger. Porter was there today, thanked the crowd. So just a great environment overall for today's practice.
Yeah, I think a few legends around there as well, too. Ike Taylor, obviously, no stranger to camps. I know Troy Polamalu's been hanging around the last couple of camps. And
Brett Kiesel was there the first day at least.
And who else did Mike Tomlin have with him? I thought I saw somebody. Oh, I guess it was Porter was out there as well, too. But I think I saw Trey Essex tweeting something earlier in the day. I think he's going to be out there, I think, tomorrow. As well. So it's kind of Legends Week, I guess, if you will, and this time of year where a lot of former Steelers start showing up at camp. So it should be a fun couple of days to get a couple of extra autographs of some former Steelers on top of some current Steeler players as well too. Alex, how hot was it out there today?
It was hot for sure. It is Latrobe in late July, early August, and so you're going to get the heat and humidity to a degree, but the rain held off, and that's my whole thing, is just stay dry. Don't know if I'll get that lucky tomorrow, but a hot one today, and I think the players certainly felt it. Mike Tomlin embracing it, and he cited that as the reason why the team is now back practicing at 1:55 instead of the morning like last year to really bask in that heat, and I'm sure the players don't love it, but it is football, and Tomlin enjoys it.
Yeah, he enjoys stressing those guys out there this time of year. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but if everybody gets a chance, NFL.com, Kyle Brandt was out at training camp, had two great interviews with Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's interview was more of kind of the greatest hits, if you will. I don't think we learned anything really new. Tomlin did have something interesting to say about not having a losing season yet, but we're going to save that, I think, to talk about on the Monday show. To talk about. But Aaron Rodgers the Aaron Rodgers interview was great, by the way, and we wrote quite a few things about that we'll be talking about on Monday as well too. But one thing that jumped out to me that Aaron Rodgers said is, "Man, it's hot out here." So this certainly, obviously he's worked in training camps throughout the years and all, but probably not this time of day in the past with Green Bay and the Jets. But he has noted a couple of times, I think, how hot it is out there. So good that you didn't have any bad weather to run you off out there. They got a full practice in today. Let's start with the housekeeping of who was in, who was back in, who was on the side. Why don't you give us the rundown there? And somebody went off, an outside linebacker went off before even practice started. And we've got a little bit of info on that as well.
Yeah, really the first injuries and some guys missing, some veteran rest days coming in that shakes up the depth chart for the first time all training camp in this third practice. So the veteran rest days, these guys are healthy. They're just getting a day. No surprise. This will continue throughout training camp. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and Darius Slay. Spike Tomlin talked about post-practice gives reps for other guys like DeMarvin Leal and Jack Sawyer and Brandon Eccles and Y.A. Black, etc. So that's all standard fare. The status quo guys, Isaac Seumalo, Cordell Patterson, they are not practicing. Some good news, though, and Ryan McCollum and Jonnu Smith working back into team periods today in session, so really full participants. McCollum might have not taken every single rep he otherwise could have, but he was basically out there full time, and same with Jonnu Smith. Two guys that did not practice or practiced in a very limited capacity today that are new names to the list are Jeremiah Moon, which, as you noted and we captured, came off on the cart before the first team period. This happened very early in practice. I'm not sure what occurred. This was on the far turf field the team began practice on because of the rain this morning. I saw Moon talking with trainers, and Mike Tomlin came over. He was walking gingerly and then went on the cart and went up to the building. Mike Tomlin called it a calf injury, a lower calf injury. So we'll see about that. Doubtful that Moon's going to practice tomorrow. Tomlin did not mention Quindell Johnson, but number 35, the backup safety, saw him with a towel around his neck. He was not practicing today, so I don't know if he started practice and then had a heat thing or something come up, or he didn't practice at all. I couldn't really tell, but he didn't really work today much, if at all. So we'll check on Moon and Johnson tomorrow.
All right. We certainly will. And no pads on again today, right? And they will not get in pads until they return from their first off day, which their first off day is Monday. So with that, where do you want to start? Offensive line, any changes with, how much did Ryan McCollum work in the lines, and what did that do to the line rotations, if any, up front?
Yeah, I mean, he worked most, maybe not all of the team periods, maybe a little bit of rotation there, but he was working primarily, back as that second team center. So that second team offensive line with McCollum in from left to right. And by the way, the tackles flipped today. So Dylan Cook was at left tackle, Calvin Anderson at right tackle after playing the opposite spots the first 2 days. They both played left and right tackle throughout their career. So not new, but new to this year's training camp. So left to right, Dylan Cook, Max Sharping, second team left guard after running second team center in place of McCollum. Then, of course, McCollum at center, Stephen Jones at right guard, and then Calvin Anderson. When I saw McCollum exit a time or two, let me just check here some of my notes, make sure I have things correct. If I can just double check this. What do I have it here? Actually, it might not have been with McCollum, but Sharping was getting some maybe third team center reps. I have a pairing here of Gareth Warren, Doug Nestor, Max Sharping, Aiden Williams, and Stephen Jones. And so Sharping getting some guard and center work, still working at the pivot, even with McCollum back.
All right, so we should see Sharping late in a preseason game at center, you would guess, right?
Yeah, I think we'll get some time there. Again, a veteran that, has been around the league and played in significant regular season action. So a veteran that can help out some of these young quarterbacks, Will Howard or Skylar Thompson. Thompson has some experience himself, but especially for Howard. I know that late in practice, I have a note of it's Warren Nestor, Nick Broker, Aiden Williams, and Stephen Jones. So Broker's still getting some reps in there, but he might be feeling the squeeze most of all because he was working third team center with McCullum out. And so right now, I don't want to call him odd man out. I want to evaluate the group some more, but, less reps for guys like Nick Broker.
All right. About the offensive line performance as a whole today, I think one of the most notable things was, I think, the first play of 7 shots. And I think this has happened now, 2 days in a row? Bad snap on the first play of 7 shots, and instead of getting a do-over this time, Mike Tomlin let this one stand, and then I think they pulled Zack Frazier out of there right away. And if they were running laps, he probably would have had to run a lap. But I'm guessing they're not doing the laps thing this year. But that's 2 days in a row. I think Zack Frazier talked about it briefly after practice, according to I think it was a Trib, and saying, look, just got to. That can't happen. They got to get that right. And, center quarterback changes obviously are huge. And you got a new quarterback, obviously, in Rodgers. And those two are just going to. Mike Tomlin's not overly concerned about it, but he said after practice. But it was concerning enough that they wanted Zack Frazier to know he had their attention, that they yanked him out of there for that one for 7 shots.
Yeah, now he came back in, he ran first team the rest of the way after that. So just sending the message there should be some pain associated with back-to-back practices or your first snap of the team period, and especially for 7 shots, which is literally 7 plays. We talked yesterday about whenever you have those miscues, false starts, pre-snap penalties, bad snaps, botched handoffs, you're wasting the rep there, and it's not going to get made up all the time. It did yesterday, not going to happen today. So just a reminder that even Zack Frazier, who feels like the best and most solid young offensive lineman Pittsburgh has, still has room to improve, growth in his game, not going to be perfect, and things to work on. So I know we kind of just chalk him up as he's Frazier, he's good, he's aces, and he's still a really, really good player, but a young guy that still has some things to work through.
All right, so your suggestion is not to bench, not to shake up the depth chart, right?
Yeah, he's not. He's still gonna be firmly planted in that first team center spot. But the snaps have to be good. Obviously, remember, snaps were an issue at the start of last season, and that cannot happen this year.
Yeah. Him and Justin Fields had quite a few, botches there in early. What was it, preseason? I think there. What were some of your main take? Obviously, not in pads, and we don't have, you don't have the best angle of it and all. But what are your main takeaways right now on the offensive line through 3 practices?
Yeah, it's hard to really evaluate overall, just kind of getting a lay of the land of reps and letting this group come back to health. Yeah, I should also note Spencer Anderson got some second team reps today, so he was getting first team, left guard in place of Say Molly, but also some second team right guard notes. I just have one overall thought on Troy Fautanu, and I partially borrow this thought from training camp last season before his injury and a little bit of the regular season action. I think with speed rushers, Fautanu is going to be really good defending those. He's a great athlete. He's got length despite a lack of height overall, where I think he's going to have to work on. And I noted this last year was on some of the bull rushes, the inside counters, those types of moves. I think he can do it, but probably the area of focus for him, there's a lot of areas to focus, obviously being so young and green and inexperienced with the injury last year. But I think power, inside rushes will be the biggest thing he's got to work on to become a really good right tackle.
All right, talk to me about the bottom end of some of these guys. We talked a lot prior to camp about guys like Gareth Warren, Nestor. Who else did we talk about?
Stephen Jones, Aiden Williams.
Stephen Jones. Who is the top of the bottom? Kind of, I guess this is more interior than anything.
It's really hard to answer that. I don't have a lot of firm takeaways on the quality of those guys' work. And as we'll keep repeating, until the pads come on, you get in some of those more competition situations, it's harder to really evaluate. You would sit there and say with Max Sharping getting those second team center reps before McCullum came back and getting some guard work as well, could he have that current inside track on, say, a 9th offensive line spot? It's probably fair to say right now, but also probably too early to really conclude anything. So, it's nice that Stephen Jones has worked at guard and tackle to give him some versatility. I've seen some moments of athleticism with Aiden Williams running third team right guard, but it's really just too early to really note much of anything.
All right, let's talk about the pack of tight ends, and they were joined back by Jonnu Smith. So it was good to see 81 back in uniform and running around there. JJ Galbraith, the undrafted free agent rookie out of South Dakota, I think had a couple of. I know he had one in touchdown and 7 shots there. He seems to be having a good start of camp so far. I think we talked about him even yesterday a little bit. Talk about the tight ends, what you saw today.
Yeah, nice to see Jonnu Smith come back. Wasn't a real notable performance, a couple of breakups. Was he the intended receiver on Rodgers' interception that Ramsey picked off? Do you know? I
Oh,
forgot in my notes who that
yeah.
was thrown for. I want to say it might have been Jonnu Smith or a tight end, but either way, I mean, just good to get him back out there and working with Rodgers post-practice, kind of going over a couple things. Darnell Washington had his first touchdown today, a nice corner route from Rodgers to Washington, and then Washington and 7-on-7 had a nice contested grab over the middle. So nice to see him involved in the pass game a little bit.
All right. Anything else? What about our fullback, Thomas Jones?
Yeah, quiet day. He's really not played any fullback so far. It really has been the Y off and some on the ball type stuff. Connor Hayward got another snap at fullback today, so we'll see if anything. I don't know if this is more about Thomas Jones just kind of getting his feet wet and not giving him a lot of hats to wear early on, or if their focus is on him playing true tight end and not really playing the fullback. And as you pointed out, he was not a fullback in college, and so
Right.
that would be new to him. But yeah, no real note since that dropped interception on that first day of practice in 7-on-7.
All right. Running backs now, and we still got the full complement of guys, and I believe Max Hurlman was in the backfield today.
Yeah, that was a fun little note there. And with Cordell Patterson still missing, has anyone seen Cordell Patterson? Is he on a milk carton or something right now, Dave? Because we talk in the spring. Wasn't there a question like, is Patterson there? It's getting. I know Thomas called
Someone
it day
didn't
today.
fix the glitch yet, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I know Patterson didn't practice to start last year. He was on NFI or PUP or something like that and missed the first week or two. But with the lines a little bit shorter, they're getting Hurlman a carry. He fumbled it though at the very end. It was a decent run. Again, hard to judge without pads on, but then dropped the ball as he stumbled to the ground. He recovered it, but not a great look there for your first carry at running back. Remember, he was a running back and receiver at Colgate before he moved up to Notre Dame, became a corner and returner. So Hurlman getting some work there. Evan Hull had a fumble. There was a bad exchange. I don't know who to blame between, I think it was Rudolph and Hull, and Hull had to fall in the football. So a dead rep there. Caleb Johnson doing fine, getting reps. Jalen Warren, same thing, pretty much status quo. Kenneth Gainwell kind of flashing his speed a little bit, but nothing too crazy going on at running back today.
All right, and I think Caleb talked to the media today, and he's really gearing himself up for the backs on backers and talked about how he thinks he can help this team in the passing game. Obviously wasn't used a ton in Iowa in the passing game. That's something that we've pointed out since he was drafted, how he could potentially be used more in that area. And I pulled I forget how many snaps there was, pass blocking snaps.
Yeah, like 60 or something.
Yeah, and there was some effort there. There was some promise there. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to represent himself better than maybe what the narrative might be.
I hope so. I mean, starting Tuesday, we'll get backs on backers, and that'll be where my attention goes. I know at the same time, you're going to get receiver, DB, one-on-one competition period, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot of great clips of Metcalf and Ramsey and Porter and Slay and all those guys, but I'll have my eyes glued to backs on backers, and one guy to watch for, maybe most of all, is going to be Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, now look, these, as we say all the time, these things are unfair for the guys having to do the blocking in these, and he's going to go up against some quality guys coming after them in the linebackers on this team. So he's by saying I think he's going to represent himself well, I don't think he's going to go 6 for 6 or however many snaps he gets, but just you want to see some of the core things there. You want to see him eat up grass. You want to see him keep his head up and try to stalemate as long as possible. But that'll be that's a week from yesterday, right?
It's going to be Tuesday when the pads come on.
No, I mean, I'm
for Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to this upcoming Friday. Yeah, a week from yesterday will be the Friday Night Lights, where they usually do the second version of backs on backers, but the first will come on the first padded practice Tuesday.
Yeah, as far as Cordell Patterson, maybe we'll have a talk about that on the Monday podcast there. Wide receiver. Uh let's see. Talk to me about their how's this time last year Roman Wilson was already on the side. So it's good to see him get in several practice here. I think he had his first attempt down the field, right? And it was broken up, or the first deep pass attempt his way in camp, and that one was broken up.
Correct. The first deep throw from Rudolph to Roman Wilson, left side, and Wilson had it for 80% of the way down, and then it was Pierre and I think primarily Chuck Clark ripping that ball out. So Wilson unable to finish that play. That's kind of my note on Wilson for the day. Also, in 7-on-7, there was a throw, kind of a speed out right sideline from Rogers to Roman, and the ball was out in front. Wilson turned his head around late. Rogers seemed to be kind of frustrated by that. No, I don't know if that was maybe frustration with himself, but probably more likely not liking the timing of the route from Wilson, perfectly. They didn't talk about it afterwards, at least not immediately afterwards. And young guy in Wilson, new quarterback, and Rogers' timing's going to have to be gotten down with everybody. But kind of one note there, Rogers, I talked about before, young receivers have not typically put up production with Aaron Rodgers. Could that change this year? Sure. Will Wilson get opportunity? Sure. He's still running, with the ones with Austin and Metcalf, but trying to get that timing down between a veteran quarterback and young wide receiver.
How are they lining up Austin and Wilson in 11 personnel?
They've mixed and matched. You've had Wilson in the slot. You've had Austin in the slot. I don't think Metcalf has been in the slot yet, not that I've seen. So those are kind of being your two slot guys. Interesting to note, it's just one small note. And again, there was so much mixing and matching that happens, especially in training camp. But they came out in 13 personnel for one snap today. And Roman Wilson was the lone receiver out there. You think it'd be DK Metcalf or maybe a Ben Skoranek or Robert Woods, but it was Roman Wilson. So maybe that feeling of having some speed on the field when you're in 13 personnel to give you that vertical threat when teams want to come down and put that extra safety in the box to try to stop the run. So just one note there. One other quick note on Calvin Austin. A couple missed opportunities for him. There was one in team, kind of went through his hands. It was decent coverage from Thornhill, but one that Austin should have had. One in 7-on-7 where Rodgers extended the play, rolled left. Pass was a little high, but one I think Austin could have been capable of catching, clipped off his hands. So couple plays that I'm sure Austin would like back today.
What about the often talked about Will Howard to Montana Lamonius Craig connection?
Yeah, that was in 7-on-7 today. A couple nice throws there. I think there was a corner route, maybe a curl too with those guys. So yeah, a couple nice plays there for Lamonius Craig.
All right. Any of the also ran Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, Brock Taylor.
Skoranek got hit pretty good by Mark Robinson, kind of the hardest hit at camp so far until the pads come on. A little slow getting up, but he seemed to be okay and shook it off. Not a whole lot else. Robert Woods had a catch today in 7-on-7, so that was nice. DK Metcalf, I think maybe there's a clip out there someone had referenced of him jetting away after a little RPO or hot read from Rodgers to Metcalf. Metcalf was quote unquote down and tagged by Porter initially, so this play was not truly 80 yards, whatever it was, but it was fun to watch Metcalf turn on the jets and run away from everybody.
That was a screen to the right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a screen. It was I think it was throwing hot. The corner was off. It was probably designed one player in RPO. So Rodgers kind of threw that quick little hot throw in the right flat. But just to watch Metcalf really open it up for the first time and just sprint, lights out is pretty fun to watch in person.
All right. I saw that, but it was shot so far away. It was, from the far end zone that you couldn't really tell what was happening there other than Metcalf on the hoof overall there.
And just quickly reminder, you're not allowed to take video of the competition team periods. So I follow that, even though we're not credentialed media. So for people who always ask, where's the video of the play? I will not be supporting that because I do not take video. I will follow the rules and just have it in my notes. We have our Tim Rice there with the pictures to supplement and give you a visual aid of the day.
And he's got a couple of great shots we'll be posting up later today on the site as well, too. All right. Let's see. I think we hit all of the offense there.
Well, the quarterbacks we didn't really talk about.
Quarterbacks. Sorry. That's the most important one there. Yeah. What kind of day did Aaron Rodgers have? And boy, Will Howard's got a lot of fans there, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he does. The big line signed up for him afterwards to sign some autographs. Rodgers signed some autographs as well. Rodgers was fine. Again, some missed opportunities, some guys who couldn't haul in some passes. I'm sure Rodgers is testing some stuff. Some passes were batted away by Elliott and and there's a downfield throw to Metcalf that was probably inaccurate, too far to the right, but really good coverage by Porter to pin Metcalf to the sideline, who went full extension. I know Tim has a really good photo of that to lay out and try to make the catch. He was out of bounds, but great effort, and the ball squirted out at the end. Got picked today. Rodgers did by Jalen Ramsey, rolled to his left, and Ramsey, like I said earlier, high pointed the ball and picked it off. So was it a great practice? Would have been better if the receivers helped him out a little bit more, but you're going to have ebbs and flows. I thought Rudolph and Howard had nice days, just showing good touch on throws, and Rodgers did too on his touchdown to Darnell Washington, but Howard hitting Lamonius Craig, Rudolph hitting Lance McCutcheon, I think Brandon Johnson, and just kind of seeing those touch throws to get the ball over some of those underneath defenders. That was one of the things I liked about Howard the most at Ohio State was his touch, ability to layer the football. Not everything has to be a fastball. To really kind of put some arc on his throws, throwing a really catchable football, and I saw that today. But when Howard needed to, he put zip on that football to that touchdown on Galbraith in 7 shots on that slant that fitted in there perfectly. So you're seeing Howard have that kind of more uncommon rookie presence to be able to throw the fastball and the changeup when needed.
What would you say he got today? About 10 or 11 snaps? In either 7 on 7 or 11 on 11?
He is getting the end reps in 7 shots, where Skylar Thompson has not the last 2 days. So Rodgers will get the first 3, and then Rudolph the next 2, I think, and then Howard usually the last 2, but the last 2 days it's been tied at 3 on the final rep, and they bring the starters out for that to settle the scores. So Howard sort of loses a rep there, but Howard's been getting that. It's still Thompson and Howard splitting really those final 4 reps in teams. You have 12 reps each team period. Rodgers gets the first 4 traditionally, Rudolph the next 4, and then the last 4 are split evenly 2 and 2 by Howard and Thompson. Sometimes Howard goes in first, sometimes Thompson goes in first. There's still a rotation there. So you had 4 team periods today. You get 2 reps there. That's 8 snaps plus the 1 or 2 you get in 7 shots. So long way to say probably about 9 or 10 reps for Will Howard.
Okay, gotcha. Let's flip over to the defensive line. No Cam Hayward today. What did the lines look like without him?
Let me pull it up here on what exactly, and again, there's so much mixing and matching. It's hard to really say here are the exact lines, but of course, more snaps for Derek Harmon. I know Loudermilk was getting some right defensive end first team work today. Let me try to see what I have here. Yeah, first team defensive line and second team period, Harmon, Benton, Loudermilk. Again, you're getting a lot of mixing and matching. Dean Lowry getting some time. So it's hard to really say here are the lines overall because you're going to get nickel packages. You're going to get a lot of rotation in overall.
One thing that's got you confused is Logan Lee and why you got Black, right?
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a hill not to die on, but I've watched through the first couple of days, and I'm not seeing Black get that time of nose tackle. He has really been defensive end, and you thought, okay, with Montravius Adams release, that's going to open up some backup nose tackle snaps, and that's not happening. It's Aquale still running second team nose tackle, which I'm okay with. I think Aquale can be a functional nose tackle, but when you've seen multiple occasions today where they're in their base 3-4 and it's Logan Lee at nose tackle and Y.A. Black at right defensive end. And I just think they should switch that and put the 330-pound defensive end at nose tackle and the undersized nose tackle and Lee at defensive end. Now, I do think Black had a couple nice reps a day in run period, using his length, locking out, spilling runs. So he didn't have a bad practice, but I don't know. It just seems backwards to me to have Lee at the nose and Black at defensive end.
All right. Anything else to report on defensive line?
Let's see. What else do I have here? Harmon, a nice rep today, getting off a block and tagging Jalen Warren for a loss in team period. Just a nice start for Derek Harmon. So, first round pick, high expectations, but I think so far he's meeting them. Overall,
the draft class is off to a reasonably, at least, non-pad start, right? Some people are showing up in this draft. I think really maybe Bruner is the only one that really we haven't talked a lot about, right?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Even Black, I thought, had a decent day on first, blush watching it live. So, yeah, I think it's been a nice start for those guys. Quickly, one other veteran to talk about, Dean Lowry, still getting some, decent playing time, and he ran over Zack Frazier today on one zone run on a handoff to Caleb Johnson. Now, I don't know, maybe Frazier stepped on someone's leg and foot because the way that Frazier fell would kind of indicate that, but it was a good rep there from Dean Lowry, who is not going to go quietly in this battle for a defensive line spot.
Sure would be nice to have the all 22 from from these practices, wouldn't it? We'll never get that. But anyway, on to let's talk about the inside linebacker group.
Yeah, they made plays today. I think it's been a really good group overall throughout the first 3 days. Patrick Queen continues to be around the football. Rogers tried to sidearm a crosser to Metcalf early on in team period, and Queen was there to help contest and force the incompletion. You had Mark Robinson, Malik Harrison playing downhill with good run stops. Peyton Wilson getting a lot of snaps there. So I just think overall the inside linebackers have been pretty active in team periods.
Holcomb looking healthy.
Yeah, he's looked good. I don't really have a whole lot of notes today specifically, but I just think overall he's been available. He's been working every day, not limited, getting special teams work. So he just seems to be all systems go and playing well.
Do you have any initial impressions of Malik Harrison after 3 practices?
Not until today when I saw him have that one downhill stop on, I don't know, it was Gainwell or I forget Hull, whoever had the carry on that one. But yeah, I think he is going to be just that as advertised downhill guy, more of your base package guy. Question is, will Pittsburgh play him in base or will they give those snaps to Wilson and really kind of reduce Harrison to that of a special teamer, which he has an extensive background in doing. But, so far it's kind of been as advertised with Malik Harrison.
All right, outside linebacker, no TJ Watt. He sat on the side rest day with Cam Hayward and Darius Slay. So talk to me about the outside linebackers minus Watt today.
Yeah, guys pumping up because no Jeremiah Moon either for the team period. And so you were getting Jack Sawyer, even I think a couple of first team reps by the end of practice. You had, of course, Herbig and Highsmith to start, but Highsmith is getting basically half days or half reps because he doesn't need a ton of reps at this point in his career either. And so it's more time for Sawyer, and DeMarvin Leal got a healthy amount of snaps today. So I think Sawyer's continued to rush well. He's been effective. He's got a variety of rush moves. He's able to do more than just speed rush. He's strong. He can rush from the inside. There was a good rip, even on the outside rush, a good rip through on Fautanu today at the end of one rep. So I just think overall Sawyer's been pretty crafty, and that's why they drafted him, not for him being a hyper athlete, but somebody that was technical and established and just a smart pass rusher that can win in different ways, and he's showing that so far.
We'll see come the first preseason game, still ways from that and all, but obviously we won't expect Watt to play in that. Probably not Highsmith either. If Herbig plays any, it will probably be limited. I would guess he could still probably stand to use some preseason snaps, but we ought to see a lot of Sawyer, DeMarvin Leal. We'll see what happens with Jeremiah Moon. Who else are we going to see out there?
One guy that I thought had some good reps today was Eku Leota, who had that cup of coffee in Pittsburgh last year when some of those early injuries to Herbig and Highsmith started piling up. He had a couple nice rushes, got held once or twice that probably prevented, would-be sacks. So I thought he was active. Bolshoff against the run had a good tag today. So there's a deep group there outside linebacker. And yeah, I thought a guy like Leota popped today.
Could Jack Sawyer lead this defensive unit in preseason defensive snaps? Possibly.
He'll be up there. I haven't run through all the names, and injuries can obviously dictate things a little bit in terms of who's all available. But he should get a ton because why wouldn't he? He's conditioned. He's from Ohio State, a good program, takes care of his body, looks the part. As you said, Watt's not going to play at all in the preseason. Right. I doubt it. Highsmith may be that tune-up game for a drive or two, but you don't really need to give him snaps at this point. And then from there, you have guys, obviously, you have, some depth at outside linebacker, but why not give Sawyer as much as he can handle?
All right. And we'll pay attention to what happens to Jeremiah Moon moving forward here. All right. Let's talk about the secondary. No Darius Slay sitting out resting as well, too. You have Chuck Clark with this team now. I think the Ramsey mostly outside corner today.
He got some outside corner reps really for the first time because Slay was down, or was rested, I should say. I want to say down as if he was hurt, but he was still getting slot work. Ramsey was, nickel packages. So Eccles was getting really kind of the replacement Slay snaps, but whenever Pittsburgh was in their base 3-4, it was Porter and Ramsey on the outside, and then Thornhill and Elliott as your other two defensive backs in those groupings. And then in nickel, it was Eccles on the outside of right corner and Ramsey in the slot. And again, Ramsey had that pick of Aaron Rodgers today, and so he's out there making some plays.
All right, what kind of camp is Beanie off to?
A quiet one. He's running second team slot corner. Really hasn't been around the ball. Not that it's his fault necessarily, just really hasn't been targeted. And obviously, with Ramsey's presence, you're losing some reps there in terms of running with the one. So, don't have a lot of takeaways on Beanie Bishop so far, but running second team slot corner.
All right, how much is it? And Eccles has pretty much been an outside guy, right? So really, your slots have been Ramsey, Beanie, and Kent, right?
Right, and I did get one note because I said I would look for it on Deshaun Jameson, who got at least a little bit of slot work today. You could probably call him fourth string slot corner, which is really down the depth chart, obviously, where reps are extremely hard to come by. But Jameson getting some reps out there. You're getting Pierre reps. You're getting McCutcheon. That's Cameron McCutcheon on the outside. He's gotten a good amount of reps as well.
All right, and safeties. First impressions of Clark through a full practice here.
Well, you had that breakup on Roman Wilson, so nice job there. You talk about the chance to play post safety, and you're going to be tested on a vertical ball. Can you go down there and track down Roman Wilson and make a play? And Chuck Clark did. So I think one day in, just getting his feet wet in Pittsburgh is nice. I know Deshaun Elliott talked about their friendship, and those are former Ravens teammates back together in Pittsburgh. So maybe that helps a learning curve a bit. Elliott are active around the ball today. Good coverage. He just had a nice camp. Dono's made some plays. I just think overall, Dave, the DBs have been really aggressive on the football, contesting well. I mean, guys have been attacking, playing the football, and making plays and breaking up passes. I could, there's a half dozen names plus of guys that have had breakups and nice plays, whether you're talking Porter, Trice has had good coverage and breakups. Kent's made some plays at a pick in 7-on-7 today, stepped in front of a Skylar Thompson pass intended for Keyshawn Williams. The safeties, Thornhill, Elliott, Clark. I mean, it's just been a lot of guys. Ramsey, the interception today, obviously. Just some really good defensive back play in these first three practices.
All right, were there just two interceptions today? Ramsey and Kent. Was there any other ones other than that?
Believe that those are the two. Now, again, Kent's came in 7-on-7. I won't count that in my official charting whenever I do tally things up. And then Ramsey's came in the team period, the 11-on-11 session.
All right, through three practices, the defense is ahead of the offense, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the defense has probably won every single practice, but at least in aggregate overall, who's been the better unit? It's been the defense, I would say, by a pretty considerable margin. Now, the defense is supposed to be one of the best in the NFL. I think generally offenses take more time to coalesce and gel, and the new pieces there will take some more time to kind of get going. And this thing, as Mike Tomlin will say, will ebb and flow. There'll be a day we talk about the offense kick butt and they won 7 shots, 6-1, and had all these great plays and all that kind of stuff. So it's not alarm bells, but if you want an answer, the defense has certainly been the better unit of the two.
All right, special teams. You got to see some punting today, and number 9 did something, didn't he?
Something you didn't like. He kicked a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
you don't need to just at me. You don't have to tweet that out. Everybody knows that you're talking at me when you post that stuff. No,
It's called a subtweet.
Yeah, you subtweet me. All right, talk about what you saw out there today.
Yeah, again, special teams it's a lot of skeleton work. So the kicking that Boswell was doing was just when the other, everyone else was in individual period on the far turf field, and so those guys are just kind of getting their kicks in. Ben Sauls didn't really kick, though. I don't know. Maybe he will later. He kicked a little bit in a special teams period, but whenever Boswell was kicking, I thought Sauls would go after, kick on the other side, and he really didn't. But Boswell hitting from 52, 54. Now, there's no rush. It's just a snapper. It's the holder. So it's Kuntz and Johnston and then Boz. But just getting your kicks in there. Waitman and Johnston punted a little bit as well, just kind of individually on their own. Now, we do some gunner pairings if you want to kind of run through some gunner groupings. Now, this was during kind of a skeleton punt period. So a guy like Dante Kent's in the return line, so he's not part of the gunner rotation because he's back there fielding punts. I imagine Kent will get his gunner work at some point, but James Pierre, Ben Scarano, your quote-unquote starting pair of gunners. No surprise there. Those were your gunners last year. And then this is in no real order, but just reading off some of the pairings, and there's some duplicates here in terms of the same guys running multiple times. But Corey Trice Jr., Beanie Bishop, Skoranek, Brandon Johnson, Kyler McMichael in Trice, Rock Taylor in Trice, Lance McCutcheon and Montana Lamonius Craig, Trice and Bishop, Johnson and Brandon Eccles, Johnson and Cameron McCutcheon, McMichael and Deshaun Jameson. So a bunch of guys obviously getting work in there, but you could say Pierre, Skoranek, Trice, Bishop, Brandon Johnson. Those are guys getting a lot of reps there.
All right, look into your crystal ball and tell me who's going to return kicks and punts in the first preseason game.
Well, that's a good question. Let me look at punts here to start. I mean, the punt returns lines have been unchanged between Austin, Miller, Hurlman, Kent, Keyshawn Williams, and Robert Woods. Would you give Austin the duties in preseason?
I don't
He's
think
your
I would.
starter.
I think you know what you got there. I would, and how many, hopefully hopefully that we see a lot of the other team punting.
Yeah, I mean, you will in preseason action. It's going to be sloppy, I'm sure. Who will actually get some of the reps in there? I mean, all the names I mentioned will be some of the options. I don't think you'll see a new name there unless there's a mid-camp signing, but probably Kent, Hurlman, probably the two guys I would guess is going to get the initial work back there. In the kick return lines, I have paid a little less attention to that, but Gainwell, Caleb Johnson, Evan Hull, probably the names to look at, maybe Ruben Wilson as well.
All right. All right, Alex Kozora, what was the best thing you saw today?
Best thing I saw today. That's a good question. I think the Ramsey interception. It's just fun to see what these new pieces come in and make those big time plays. And Ramsey leaping up and picking off Aaron Rodgers, just a really good play there. So fun to see the stars play like stars. I know whenever the defense makes a play, that means the offense didn't, and vice versa, such as life in training camp. But cool to see Ramsey sky up, take that football away, and just make that splash play defensively.
All right, that catch that Metcalf had down the side against Porter, but was out of bounds. Did you say that ball came out?
It did come out, to my knowledge, at
Okay.
the very end, unless I missed it, but I'm pretty sure that ball, like, he caught it and then hit the ground, and he had it for a second, but the ball, my
Okay.
recollection, came out at the very end. I mean, it was out of bounds either way, so I didn't
Right.
pay a ton of attention to did he secure the catch or not, but I'm pretty sure I saw that ball squared away at the very end.
All right, and you will be back out there on Sunday, and we will be back at talking about it again on Sunday night with our fourth special edition of the Terrible Podcast. And hopefully the weather stays nice for you. Hopefully the drives are nice for you. And so with that, I'll start wrapping us up here. As usual, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. You can find all the nightly Alex Kozora training camp recap diaries up on the site, pinned at the top of the site as well too. So if you're getting to this late and you listen to us and you haven't read that, jump on over to the site and make sure to read that before practice gets underway on Sunday. So until Sunday night, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, a special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.